Hello everyone, welcome to the session on AWS CDK. This session you can consider as a setup guide for CDK using Python programming language. If I'll move to the agenda of this session, I have divided it into four sections. The first section is what is CDK, where we will discuss about the CDK, what it is, what is the need of CDK, and what are the market trends basically. Then we will talk about prerequisites, what all softwares we need to install, what all configuration do we need to do to make the workstation ready so that we can use AWS CDK framework to provision the cloud resources in AWS cloud. The third section is more on CDK bootstrapping. We will talk about what bootstrapping is, uh, what is exactly the outcome of bootstrapping process, and then once the setup is done, we will test the entire environment so that, of course, with an example of a project where we will provision some infrastructure resources in AWS cloud. You are listening to Ankit Jain. I'm an instructor of this session. I have a deep hands on experience leading design, development, and deployment of business software at scale in different languages, technologies, and frameworks. I have served this IT industry for more than 17 years now. I also explored strong virtualization by different cloud platforms and successfully achieved the deliveries, the designs, the different architectures, solutions. As a solution architect, I've demonstrated architectural best practices applied across a breadth of technology to solve organization problems, articulate views and roadmaps for future development, and understand the interaction between infrastructure, operations, and development. Okay, so let's move to the actionable items. Let me tell you what all we are going to cover here. So as a first step, I mean the section that we talked about what is CDK. So we need to understand what CDK is. If you will see AWS Cloud Development Kit, it is an open source infrastructure as a code framework developed by AWS. You can use this framework with your familiar programming language like Java, C Sharp, Python, and TypeScript. I think Go is also available now, but it is still in developer preview state. Okay, so if you see the market trend, it is increasingly becoming a popular framework for managing AWS based infrastructure workload. But what is the need of doing this? What is the need of going towards AWS CDK or any infrastructure as a code framework? When you are working on a project which is cloud based and your entire backend ecosystem is hosted on a cloud, what you can do, either you can provision the infrastructure using cloud console. In AWS it is called AWS console, or you can use CLI, where through command line you can utilize the different commands that is given by AWS, uh, or you can write some code which you can, using your more own programming language. As I talked about that, there are different programming languages that can support writing those codes like Java, C Sharp, and Python majorly. But if you see what are the problems behind that, if you are going with manual provisioning, suppose you have provisioned the infrastructure once and you are asked by your stakeholders that if they need similar kind of environment again, then again you have to put your effort to provision the entire infrastructure through console manually, right? Another challenge could be, suppose if a new team member join to your team and the task is given to him, he needs to have the entire understanding what is already provisioned in one environment and the similar kind of setup he needs to do in the next environment. So it is really problematic to bring a new environment that is in sync of the previous environment. Okay, so manual effort is really is a problematic, right? Similarly, I'll give you another huge case. uh, Suppose you have started a project and initially it may have limited resources, uh, but as the time grows your project might grow, right? And it can bring more infrastructure resources. Then it's really it will really be a nightmare to provision a big infrastructure project. So definitely manual effort would not work in that case, because we are, after all, we are all human, and it is a natural thing to do some mistakes. So manual effort is really a problematic thing, and that is why ISC is now becoming a popular I mean, it's becoming a market trend now to go for ISC framework. We do have another set of tools like Terraform, who are also having popularity, getting the popularity in market. But this CDK is basically developed by AWS, where it gives you an opportunity, to different developers from different background. They if they are from Java background, they can use Java based kit. If they are from Python background, they can use Python based kit, and then can write the code to provision the infrastructure. Okay. So uh, let me start with the second section, prerequisites. If I'll go back to the slide, if you see, there are different steps. In this session we are doing this setup using Python programming language, right? So of course we need to install the Python first. Next is install Python package installer. What is a package installer? Basically it is a package management system, if you are working in a Python, that is used to install and manage software packages which are written in Python. Okay. Then virtual environment manager. What is the need of virtual environment manager now? So again, let me talk about the virtual env. We call it a virtual env in short form, right? So it is basically a lightweight self-contained Python installation. And why we need virtual env? uh, See, if you are working on a system directly, that means without virtual environment, whatever you will install, it will directly be installed on your system globally, right? And if you are working on a multiple projects where each project need a different requirement, different version requirements, then it will create a problem for you. That is why it is always recommended that you need to create a separate environment for your project. Okay, so virtual environment, virtual env, actually avoids the need to install Python packages globally. It creates a separate environment when it is active using Python package installer. In short form, we call it pip. Pip will install packages within that environment, and which does not affect the base Python installation in any way in your system. Okay. Then we need to install the AWS CLI, of course, because at the end we need to talk to AWS cloud to provision the infrastructure. uh, and to connect to the AWS APIs, the resource APIs, we need to configure the credentials as well, because your system, your the workstation that you are working on needs access to your AWS account. Okay, so we need to set up some profile on your system so that it can talk to your AWS account. Then Node.js. Why Node.js is required? Okay, so if you see, uh, there are different programming language support in CDK: Python, Java, C Sharp. But irrespective of the CDK programming language that you are choosing over all these options, all the CDK app use the same backend. Because when I'm saying that CDK is a framework, it will also use some backend technologies to convert your code into the CloudFormation template. Because at the end, what CDK does, whatever you are writing, it converts that code into the CloudFormation template, and using that CloudFormation template, it provisions the resources. To convert that code into the CloudFormation template, it needs some backend server as well, and for that it uses the Node.js. So that we need to install Node.js in our workstation as well. Okay. Let me come to uh, the folder structure now, where you can see three installers I already have, though you can search them. I'll start with Python. So if you will search Python installer, and if you will go to the Python site, you can quickly download the Python over here, which I have already downloaded. So let me run this package. Okay, it's very simple installation instructions path. It should be quick to install. Okay, let me open the terminal here, and it is Python 3. Let me run it. Okay, so you can see that 3.12.2 is installed now. It's on path. Okay, fine. Next I will install Node.js. Okay, so it is saying that this version will be installed, and when you are installing the Node.js, it will also install npm, which is a package manager it comes with. So let me follow the instructions to install it as well. Okay, and then finally we will install CLI. Okay, so I do have the previous version of CLI, so it is basically asking, saying me that it will upgrade the previous package. And meanwhile I can show you how you can get those instructions. So if you will search node.js install, you can download your respective packages from based on the OS you are working on. Similarly, you can download it the CLI installer from AWS website. So whichever OS you are working on, you can select. Like if you are working on Mac, you can simply go to the path, like okay, this one. You can go to the path and download the package, and then you can install it. Fine. Okay, this is also completed. Let me quickly verify. Okay, so node, if you see, we have used 2011 one, which is the same. And if I'll use AWS version, it should also give me AWS CLI version now. Okay, fine. Next, if I'll go to the slide back, we have completed Python, we have completed CLI, and we have completed Node.js. So next is what we need to install the pip. Okay, so I'll go back to the command line now, the terminal, and I will write the commands like python 3 -m ensure pip -upgrade. So what this command is doing basically, it is basically bootstrapping the pip installer into existing Python installation or virtual environment, right? So we are just making ensure, we are just bootstrapping our pip installer. Okay, okay, so let me python 3 -m ensure pip upgrade. Okay, maybe I need to a new thing, python 3 -m ensure pip upgrade. Fine, that was the previous window actually. So I have opened it again, and so that the path can be loaded. Okay, so if you see that requirement is already satisfied and the package is already there. Next we need to install, or I would say, if the pip is already there, we need to upgrade the pip, and for that the command is python 3 hyphen m pip install, and if it is already there, it can upgrade this. So requirement is already satisfied, probably it is doing some changes in the system. Yeah, it is done. Next we need to install the virtual environment using the pip module. So let me write the command python 3 hyphen m. Using pip we are installing, and I'm also passing hyphen hyphen upgrade in case we already have it, then this silently can upgrade it. Okay, so it is installing a virtual env now on my system. Perfect. So it has installed successfully this virtual env 2020 Okay, we can also verify if proper if node package manager also get installed. Yes, it is. Next requirement is to install the AWS CDK. Okay, when I'm talking about that, CDK is a framework, and we are working on a Python programming language, so we need to bring that plugin onto our system so that we can work with the CDK. So for that, what we need to do, we need to use npm package to install it. AWS CDK. AWS CDK is a library that is released by AWS, which is having all the executables bundled, which we can utilize to work on the CDK commands. Okay, so using this command, we are globally installing AWS CDK. And you see the package installed. So what I will verify if it is properly installed or not, and which version is basically installed. Yeah, so if you see cdk 2.1280 is installed now. Next, what we need to do, let me go back to the slide to see what all we have covered. Python we have installed, pip we have installed, virtual env we have installed, CLI we have installed, node.js we have installed. Now coming to the point, configuring the AWS credential. Okay, for that I'm going to the AWS console now. I'll create a user. This is something that you should not share with everyone, but for the demonstration I'm just creating a user here. Let me call it training. I'll be assigning admin access to this user. And then as we are dealing with CLI now, okay, so we need to create some access security credentials so that the same we can utilize in our CDK setup. Okay, I'm just creating access key. So this is something where I will warn you that whenever you are doing this, you should not share your access key and secret access key. I'm going to delete these credentials after this session, so this is not an impact on me, but make sure that whenever you are creating these credentials, it should not be shared with anyone, because if somebody will have access of these credentials, he or she will be able to connect to your AWS account and can play around your AWS resources, right? Okay, so as I said that we need to configure AWS credentials. So let me do that. What I can do is to configure the credentials on your local system, on your workstation, the command is AWS configure, and you need to create a profile, because every time you need to work on uh, AWS environment, you should not utilize, you should not provide the username, password or secret key, access key, everything. Rather, you can create a profile on your local system, and using that profile you can generate a STS token, and that token you can utilize to authenticate yourself against your environment. Okay, so I'll set up a profile, AWS CDK. We are doing a setup, so I will do this. Here it will ask me to provide the access key. I'll just copy it. Access key, I'm again copying it. Region, I can work on AP South 1. Output format, I will go with JSON. Okay, so it has set up a profile on my workstation where it is getting stored. If you have no idea, let me quickly show you. If you will go to the home directory, it will create AWS folder over there, and if we will go into this folder, you can see there are two files. One is config. If I will show you the config, it has created a profile which I have used as an option here, and it has stored the values for region and output which we have given as an input to this command. And the credential files, if you see, it has your access key ID and your secret access key. Okay, now we will use this profile to connect with our AWS account. I'm just repeating my words that you should not share these the access key ID and secret access key with anyone. uh, I'm just sharing it with you in the video because I'm just explaining how to use it. After this session I will definitely going to delete so that it cannot be misused. Okay, so the next point is to go with the CDK installation. I think we have already covered it, right? So let me go back to the slide. We have completed all the prerequisites, so we can quickly move to the CDK bootstrapping. Okay, fine. So what is bootstrapping? Yeah, so bootstrapping is the process. It is a basically a way of preparing an environment for your deployment. It is just one time action, but for a particular region. If you are working in AP South 1 currently, you need to set up your environment here. If you want to provision your resources in a different region, you again have to do a bootstrapping. Okay, so when we define the resources in the AWS CDK, it is converted into the CloudFormation CDK stack. Sorry, CloudFormation stack, and the generated CloudFormation stack then gets deployed by AWS CloudFormation service. Okay, so this CloudFormation service, for being able to deploy these stacks, need S3 buckets also, where it can store that generated template. It also needs IAM roles that grant permissions needed to perform the deployment on your behalf. Okay, so these resources, S3 bucket, IAM roles, again the KMS key which is used to encrypt the generated artifacts which will be stored into S3. These all resources needs to be provisioned ahead of time, okay, in your region in which you are working on. So all these things, all these provisioning which is a one time action is known as the bootstrapping. Okay, now there are different ways how can you provision, how can you do the bootstrapping. Okay, so I'll talk about all the steps what all we need to do. So and before I execute this command, I can also show you what when we run the basic command of CDK bootstrapping, what AWS does behind the scene. Okay, so the command for this is CDK bootstrap hyphen show template. So when you do the bootstrapping, what AWS CDK does, it generates, it utilizes a template that is standard, that is already generated and is being stored somewhere into S3, in the standard S3 bucket which AWS manages. Okay, so what I'm doing with this command is I'm just running a CDK bootstrap, and I'm saying that I don't want to bootstrap now. I just want to see the template that will be used to bootstrap my CDK environment. Okay, so I'll give a command like a bootstrap hyphen template dot yml. When I will do this, if you see, I do have another YAML file. And by the way, you can run this command from any path. I have just utilized it here. I can quickly go to a different folder just to show you. I'll remove this file from here and I'll go to my home directory. Okay, where I do have something like workspace. Okay, and I will run the same command here. Yeah. So you see, what is this bootstrap template.yaml generated now? If I'll go to the folder in the workspace and if I'll open this file, you see this is a cloud formation template where these are the parameters that gives you an opportunity to overwrite some of the default values that AWS CDK does during its deployment. Then what all resources it will create, like KMS key alias, and the bucket where it will store all the artifacts. What I mean by artifacts here, the cloud formation template itself, and couple of other resources like roles which it will be using for deployment. Yeah. So now there are two ways. So I have shown you that behind the scene AWS CDK framework utilize a template which is nothing but a cloud formation template. It uses that template to deploy the resources. Okay. So now what you can do is you can I'll go with a cloud formation template based approach first. Okay, so how do you run how do you deploy a cloud formation template from your CLI, which is what I'm going to show you the next. Okay, so I'll use AWS cloud formation, and then the command is create stack. As I said that this template gives you a parameter where you can override the configurations. So if you see, okay, so if you will not give any configuration, it will use the default values. But the cloud formation, when we create a stack, we need to give the stack name. Okay, so what I'll give an option for the stack name is CDK. By default it creates the cloud formation stack with the name CDK toolkit. I'm giving the same name, and then I'm saying that to create this stack I need to use this particular file template body, and where I'll give file is equal to bootstrap template.yml. And then as if you have seen that YAML, it is also provisioning some IAM resources like roles. So we need to give we need to assign the capability. We need to tell them that this stack is capable to create the IAM resources. So for that I need to define the capabilities option, where I will define that I will define the capability of creating the IAM resources by giving capability named IAM value. Then I'm also telling that how it should connect to AWS, the profile, the same profile that we have created earlier, AWS CDK setup. Okay. Okay, so I have given the wrong value actually. It should be capital one. So if you see, it has created a cloud formation stack. And if you will go back to the AWS console, open the cloud formation, we will definitely have one value of this stack. Yeah, so it is already started. If I'll go back to the cloud formation stack and go to the resources, you see that it started having resources to be provisioned: SSM parameter, role, repositories. Let me talk about those things. Publishing role for file publishing, and this is for image publishing, this is for lookup role, this is for container asset repository. So if you need to have some image stored, it can utilize the ECR. It is for publishing those images into that repository. Similarly, it is for file publishing permission. And if you see, there are a couple of other things getting created now. Staging bucket. Let me quickly talk about these resources in detail. So SSM parameter is basically used to create that CDK version, so that if later it is changed, it can simply update that value without impacting any other resources in the cloud formation stack, right? Uh, this cloud formation IAM role, basically coming to this image publishing role first. This is a trusted role, trusted account role. Let me quickly show you also if you want it. If I'll go to the trust relationship, what I'm saying that this account is a trusted account, and it will have an access of this custom inline role, where you see all the ECR specific resources are allowed. It can also get the authorization token as well. Okay, similarly we do have another roles. I can quickly show it to you, because these are provisioned. Again, it is a trusted account role, and permission is the read only access for all the job functions. And then KMS decryptions. If you see the bucket, it has created, and this bucket will be used uh, to put the cloud formation template for the project that we will create after the CDK setup is done. Okay, so if I'll go back to the cloud formation template, and if you see, these are created. Okay, this is one of the way we can boot us to the CDK. The other way is the very straightforward way. So before that, I will quickly delete this stack first, so that I can create the different stack again. Okay, I'll go to the S3 bucket, because this bucket will not be deleted. So just wait for this stack to get deleted first. It might take some time. Let's see what all are pending now. Okay, it's just one KMS key alias left, I think. Bucket is escaped, so I'll quickly go into that bucket and manually delete it. Okay, So now we don't have any stack and we can proceed to the another way of getting this bootstrap. And for that, what we have done is we have utilized the AWS cloud formation command here by providing the cloud formation template that AWS CDK framework uses. And how did we get this template? By using CDK bootstrap command. This time we will not use this show template command, okay, but we will use a different options CDK, and for that we need account number. Okay, we can get the account number using a command like let me quickly show it to you. Wait, I should have that command handy with me. Yeah, so if I'll use AWS STS get caller identity hyphen profile, which profile we have created, AWS CDK setup. So if we will see, we have got this account number. This is what we need. We also need a reason because bootstrapping will be done in a particular region, right? So I can also run a command AWS configure get reason using my profile. Okay, this is AP South one which we have configured. You, if you remember, while we were setting the AWS profile, we have given the region name as AP South one. Similarly, we can get those values using a profile using this command. Now we will run the command for bootstrapping. Okay, so the command is CDK bootstrap AWS colon and then your account number. Slash your region number, region name. Okay, so if we will run this command, it will bootstrap the CDK resources in this particular region, and it will use a stack name something like CDK toolkit. It will create a bucket with that special name that you have seen earlier, and if we want to override those things, we can also provide options here. If you want to take hold on a specific resource name, right? So if I'll define qualifier ARG stack, I can override the bucket name also. Strap bucket name. I can give ARG stack hyphen CDK, and then the profile AWS CDK setup. Oh, the name is different, sorry. It should be AP South one. So if you see, it has started creating the cloud formation change set, and it started creating these resources. Now if you will go into the stacks, refresh it, the stack name is created, and in the resources if you see, this is the name you must observe. This time there is no alphanumeric value. We are adding something like this is not there, but if you see, the currently the name is generated by CDK hyphen ARJ stack hyphen CFN. Last time when we created it, it was different. It was some alphanumeric code was there, but we have controlled that value by giving qualifier here. We have given the qualifier as ARJ stack, and that is why we have the resources generated with the CDK hyphen ARJ stack. If you see, all the resources will have this ARJ stack in its name. And if you see the bucket as well, bucket is generated with the name of arj stack hyphen cdk. So you can take control on the resources that are being provisioned by this cdk bootstrapping process by providing the additional options to the cdk bootstrapping command which we have given here. Okay, so there are a couple of other tags, other options as well, like you can provide the tags by giving by using hyphen hyphen tags option. If you already have the KMS key provisioned and you want to utilize that KMS key to encrypt your artifacts, you can provide that KMS key ID by providing an option hyphen hyphen bootstrap hyphen KMS hyphen key hyphen ID. So couple of things are given by AWS CDK toolkit which you can utilize to take control on the provisioned resource naming conventions. Okay, so you see that environment is ready now, it's bootstrap, and if you will go to the uh, CloudFormation stack console, this CloudFormation stack progress is also done. If you will go to the S3 and if you will refresh it, you see the bucket name will be created with arj stack hyphen cdk. Okay, I'll show you the KMS key also. Okay, let me go back to the terminal and maybe cloud formation stack, and let me see if it has created any KMS key this time. Okay, it has not created. With the cloud formation template it has created the KMS key, but this time it has not created any KMS key, and this is the difference. Okay, anyways, uh, so going back to our slide, the third section is also done. Okay, now we have reached to the last section of our this session where we need to test the setup. Okay, so the testing, to test the setup, what we need to do, we need to go to the terminal. I'll create a folder here with the project name that we want to create. So maybe I'll do it like AWS CDK hyphen test Azure project. I'll go inside this folder. Okay, then I need to create our project, the CDK template project. Okay, for that we do have a command CDK init, and we are creating an application, right? So we are initializing any application that is used by the CDK, and the name of the application should be AWS CDK test. I am also giving a option language because this is an indicator to the CDK that this is an instruction that we are giving to CDK that we want to generate a project that should be based on the Python language. So remember this command CDK init app name hyphen hyphen language, your familiar language that you are working on. In this section we are uh, utilizing Python language, so we are giving the Python programming language. And you see what it has done. It has created a blank project for CDK development with Python. It has created this file. Then there are a couple of instructions it has given which will definitely use it. It has also given multiple options with CDK command that you can utilize to work on CDK. We will definitely cover all these things. But if you see, let me open this project here. Okay, so these are the contents generated by that CDK command. If you see, this app.py is a main file. This AWS CDK test is the CDK specific file. So this is the main file of this project, where you see that we are calling a class AWS CDK test stack, which is nothing but this particular class, and here we can define all our AWS resources. But before defining any resources, there are a couple of steps that we need to follow. First one is to activate our virtual environment. So if you see, it has created a virtual environment for us. If you will see it in the uh, in the in the terminal, I'll show it to you. It has created a virtual environment .venv. We just need to activate this environment now, so that whatever we are going to install should be installed that virtual environment. If you remember, in the starting of this session, I have just told you that virtual environment is required to create a boundary for your project, so that whatever you are going to install should be installed in your environment only, instead of being installed on the global. Okay, so for that, what we need to do is we need to use command source venv bin and then activate. When I have executed this command, you see the temp the virtual environment is displayed here, that we are now into .venv environment. Okay, so currently we are in Python virtual environment instead of being on global path. Okay, now we need to go to the files which were generated. If you see that we do have requirement.txt now, and if you see that we have defined AWS CDK lib and we have defined the constructs. So the whole concept of AWS CDK is around the constructs. We just need to define the constructs. Within those constructs, we need to define our resources, and when we will run the respective command of SDK AWS CDK, it uses those constructs to provision the infrastructure. Okay, so the command that we have used to initialize a project, it has just generated those files. It has not stored these libraries as of now. Okay, so to bring those dependency, we need to run a command python -m pip install -r requirement.txt. So what it will do, it will read this file and will download these dependencies and to put it into the virtual environment now. Okay, so you see that it has started collecting AWS CDK library with the version we have defined over here, 2.128.0, and then it has started preparing your virtual environment. If you see, okay, it is not displayed over here, but if you see in the path, if we'll go into the path .venv, okay, I need to okay, just leave it. I'll show it from here. So if you see this library folder, see you see all the libraries are here, AWS CDK. If I'll run the pwd command, within this project, within this virtual environment, we do have a lib python 3.12 within site, and the folder site packages is having all the dependencies that is required over here. What we have defined over here, AWS CDK lib and the constructs. So AWS CDK is there now and the constructs is there now. Okay, fine. So we have created so far what we have done, just to revise, we have used the CDK template to generate a CDK based project. Then we have and when we have generated it, it has created a virtual environment for us. We just need to activate that virtual environment using source command, and then we have installed all the Python libraries that was there in the requirement.txt. Going forward, if you need more dependency, you can simply come to this requirement.txt, define those dependency over here, and run the same command which we have executed, python -m and pip install -r requirement.txt. It will collect all the newly defined dependency and will install it. Okay, so you see that now error is also gone, which was coming earlier. Okay, by default, I mean, if we have not defined any resources yet, right? But we still have the template. We still have the CDK stack available. We can simply see what stack is available currently. So if you remember that in the command window, we have seen couple of uh, options here. CDK ls. It lists all the stacks in the app. CDK synth is emits the synthesized cloud formation template. I'll explain you what does this mean. Deploy is to deploy that stack, and difference is to check what are the differences between your code and the already deployed template. And docs is for the documentation. There is one more command, CDK destroy, that is used to destroy the CDK stack. Okay, let me quickly run the first CDK ls command, which is ls hyphen hyphen profile. Yeah, just stack CDK setup, and it has given me a CDK stack name AWS CDK test stack, and where this value is coming from. If we will go to the app.py, which is the root file of this project, we do have the CDK name given over here. If we will just change it like training CDK, and if we will run this command again, it will fetch that name as training.cdk. So what happens basically, the cdk ls command, it scans your code, and the cdk stack that are being generated as a part of this project, it display all those stacks over here. Okay, so the next command is cdk synth. And we saw that CDK synth is the purpose of CDK synth is to uh, uh, check your project whether the configuration that you have defined is proper, and it is able to generate a cloud formation stack behind the scene. Okay, but before we do that, we have to do a couple of things again. Like we need to uncomment this file, and I'll go to the window here, and then I'll fetch the account number. We have used the AP South one as region name. And if you remember, one more thing we did when we have created this stack, we have added additional values to some options when we have bootstrapped this CDK, right? Like qualifier name, the bucket name, and because of those settings only, we have to tell our CDK stack about those values, and those things are called synthesizers basically. So if you see, we do have synthesizer here, and here we need to use default stack synthesizer, where we need to define that we have used this qualifier arg stack, and bucket name also we have changed, right? File asset bucket name, we have to define arg stack cdk. If we will not define these things, what it will do, if you will go into this default stack synthesizer, if you see there are these different properties. Okay, so if we will not define these things, by default it will assume some other values, and when you will create this stack, it will try to identify the bucket which should be generated, the name of that bucket should be generated by default. But what you have done, you have created this bucket as a part of your CDK bootstrapping. Okay, so that bucket name, the default bucket name, and this bucket name will be a mismatch, and it will not get any resource, right? I'll give you that idea. Let me just comment it, and what I will do, um, let me run a command cdk synth hyphen profile AWS CDK setup. Okay. CDK synth is not basically connecting to your AWS account. It is just a local build. So at this moment, this has not given any error because it has not reached out to AWS account yet. It has just generated a CloudFormation template out of your project. So if you see what you have done, there is nothing we have created, right? So what we will do, we will simply go to this file and let me uncomment a one queue resource. Maybe I'll define this as training queue. Okay. And now if I run this same command cdk synth hyphen profile, you see that the resources is now having one queue available as well. Okay. But when I use the same profile using deploy option, it will not work. It should not work. And this is correct. See the error now. It is saying deployment is failed. The error is SSM parameter was not found. And you see what it is trying to do? It is trying to identify this parameter. Let me open SSM parameter now. If we will go to the parameters, where it is, yeah, on the top. Okay, so if you see what parameter we have created, cdk bootstrap slash arg stack slash version. Why? Because we have given the qualifier. Okay, as we have not defined this setting in our app.py, that qualifier is changed. It is trying to get the default qualifier, which is by default HNB659FTS. Okay, and deployment got failed. This is why I have said that we have to define the synthesizer. Synthesizer is nothing but uh, a default a configuration that we have overwritten. Otherwise it will utilize the default configuration. Okay, so we have given okay, let me give you another thing. I'm just deleting this. I'm just defined the qualifier now, and if I'll try to deploy now, it is able to synthesize for the SSM parameter, but then it says that this bucket is not found because the bucket name was again different, right? So I'll change this value now and then I will run it. So if you see, this has started deploying it. I'll quickly go back to AWS console. I'll show you that S3 bucket should not have anything as of now. Oh, it is started having it is now you can see one JSON file. This JSON file is nothing but a CloudFormation template that was generated on the local machine. Similarly, if I'll go to the SQSQ console, okay, this is already done. Okay, and you see it has created a stack named here. So if you will go to the CloudFormation template, you would have two CDK stacks now. One is the one which was the outcome of your CDK bootstrapping. Another one is the training CDK, which is just we have created. And if you will go to the queue service, we do have one queue created here. Training CDK, which is the CDK name, CD CloudFormation stack name, and the training queue, the name that we have given, and the logical ID. And if you will go into this queue, probably it should be there in the tagging, though I'm not sure. Oh, it is not there. Anyways, and if you see the S3 bucket now, let me open it and see. This is the same template that was generated on the local machine. So I said that during the bootstrapping, it generates S3 bucket, which is used to host all of your CDK templates, cloud formation templates. Okay. The last command which I want to show you is CDK destroy, which is to destroy your stack that was created. Okay, so if you will run it, it will ask you whether you are sure to destroy it. So I'll just give the value y, and it will start destroying your stack. So you see that it is now deleting the queue. If I'll go to the SQSQ console, there is no queue now. Okay, and yeah, delete in progress. If I'll go to the cloud formation stack, the status should be delete in progress, which is there. Let the operation be completed. Okay, it might take some time. So I'll just recap whatever I have explained. Uh, okay, so what we have done so far, we have seen that what is CDK. It's a ISC framework developed by AWS. Um then we have seen that if you have chosen the language Python as a base language to write your IEC project with CDK, you have to go for a couple of installation steps, like you have to install your Python, then pip package, because pip is used to install other libraries. Then it is recommended to have the virtual environment created for your project, so that whatever dependencies, whatever uh, packages you need for your CDK project, the dependency should be installed in your virtual environment only without impacting your workstation base paths. Then we have installed Node.js. The reason was CDK itself need a backend environment which it can use to convert your CDK configuration into the CloudFormation template, and for that it uses Node.js. Okay, so we have installed Node.js. Then we have installed AWS CLI, because when we run the CDK commands, it internally uses CLI, AWS commands only internally. So for that we need to configure the CLI on our workstation. It also needs to have the credentials configured on your workstation, so that when you are running the CDK command, it can utilize those profiles, those credentials to talk to your AWS account. Once it is done, uh, what we have done, we used the CDK init command to generate a project template for us, and that actually generated this particular structure, and it has also created one virtual environment for us. Once it is generated, we had activated this virtual environment by the command source, and then there is a bin file here, activate. This particular file we have to run to activate the virtual environment. Once it was done, we have used the pip command to install the dependencies which were mentioned in the requirement.txt, because we have configured this CDK library and the global, but now we are into the virtual environment, so we need to again install all those dependency within this virtual environment. Once that was done, we have defined this CDK environment settings, because we need to tell this project that to which region it needs to talk to. And then as we have you while bootstrapping, we have override some configuration like bucket name, qualifier, and so we have to define those configuration again in our project, so that once we will run the commands like cdk ls, cdk deploy specifically, it can utilize this configuration to talk to your AWS resources. There were three major commands, in fact four major command. One is cdk ls. It is used to see what all stacks your project will be generating. So it will give you the name of this text. CDK synth is used to generate the synthesized cloud formation template without actually interacting to the AWS environment. So it will give you a feel, it will give you a file, it will give you a content that will be generated in the form of cloud formation template that cloud formation service will use to provision your resources in the AWS account. Then we have used a CDK deploy command to actually provision the resources that you have defined. And once everything is done, we have used CDK destroy to destroy your resources. Don't forget to provide your profile option, because this is where you have defined your credentials. So CDK command utilize your profile settings to provision each and everything. I hope I have covered each and everything. Uh, but yes, if you want to go through these steps on different OS like Windows, I do have a repository also created. Let me give you a reference for that. So this is what I have created in GitHub. It is basically again for Python, but the target OS was Windows. Similar instructions, similar kind of instructions we have used to do the same for Mac. But yes, if you see, let me quickly go through over here. I have just covered what is AWS CDK, then the different options which we have given. I have also, I mean, if you want to see what all resources it has created, so this is what where I have mentioned, and then each and every step that we have followed is documented here, but in respect to Windows OS. Yeah, so that's it for this session. I hope I have covered each and everything uh, uh, which is required, which was the requirement of this session. If you have any question, just put those questions in the comment window, and I'll see if I can help you out in answering those questions. Thank you very much. uh, Please, if you like the video, please subscribe my channel so that you can stay tuned on my upcoming sessions as well. Thank you very much.